Hello, everybody. This is Sam Gazdziak with Independent Processor Magazine. I'm speaking this morning with a couple of people from Ralph's Packing in Perkins, Oklahoma. I'm speaking with Jake Nelson and Erica Herring. Folks, thanks so much for joining me today. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Sam. It's good to see you.
All right. So Jake, I know that you're kind of a recent addition to the Ralph's family. Could you talk a little bit about your background and how it is that you came to join the company?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a recent addition to the Ralph's company, not the family. I started here in January of this year, January 2021. I've known the company and known the Crane family probably since I started my time in college, which would have been at Eastern Oklahoma State College in Wilburton in the early 90s. The meat judging team would come up to Ralph's and work out, and that's when I was first introduced to the company. And then as I progressed through college and started a career at Oklahoma State University, I obviously became to know them very well because of their close proximity and their activity in the industry and the close relationship between the company and OSU.
All right. So can you talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing at Ralph's now and how you're helping to make sure that everything coming out of the company is great and healthy?
Sure.
And safe?
Yeah. My title is Food Safety Coordinator. Obviously, in the meat industry, we're heavily regulated. We've got a USDA presence here. We're both a federal and state establishment here at this facility. So we've got 2 inspection protocols. And then, of course, we have a retail store, which is governed by our Oklahoma State Department of Health. And so it's the typical food safety coordinator activities, all the food safety principles and science behind that. HACCP plans, sanitation plans, and I think most folks in the industry understand what that is. Ralph's is a very diverse company in its product offering. And so we produce a lot of very different, diverse kinds of products. And that's not necessarily overwhelming, but you do need to stay current because there are different food safety aspects and principles to stay current with. It keeps the day busy and fun and challenging. Great group of employees to work with. I never worked in the private sector, really. I essentially worked in higher education from the time I was in school. And so it's a different experience for me, and it's a good experience, but it's way different than the university.
Great. Well, thanks, Jake. Now, Erica, we'll turn it over to you here. We've got the AAMP show coming up in July 15th to 17th, and it is taking place not exactly in your backyard, but not too far from it in Oklahoma City. So, for your perspective and maybe some of the other Oklahoma processors out there, what's the level of anticipation like for having the show after a year off due to the COVID pandemic?
I think everybody's really, really excited, at least in our area. I know Oklahoma, due to some of the CARES Act grant funding that came to our state last year, we have a lot of new processing plants that have started, a lot of new custom plants. And even some of our older plants that have never really been truly involved in AMP are all signed up to come to conventions. So I think we're going to have a good crowd from our local area here in Oklahoma and the surrounding states that normally don't make it to the AMP convention when it's up in, Wisconsin or Minnesota or anywhere like that. So I think we've got a really good group of people that's going to be here. And from what I've heard from the AMP office, it's quite the show. The exhibit hall is sold out. The host hotel is sold out. The secondary hotel is getting pretty booked. So I think we're going to have a really good show next week.
Right. Now, one of the features that kind of kicks off the show, is always a popular event, is the bus tour that takes attendees to some of the local processors. Ralph's is on the list this year. So when people come to visit next week, what are some of the things that are new that you all are up to that they'll be able to see?
Well, Sam, I'm so glad you asked, because that's where I was before we started this little visit. We're actually expanding our facility. We're adding on about 12,000 square feet of fully cooked, ready-to-eat packaging space. And we were hoping that it would be ready for the bus tour. It will be ready enough where we can at least get people through it to see how the plant will work. But we are still under construction. So we've got some different things to show. And then also, as we take people through the existing plant, they'll see how we've been able to take what was essentially a custom processing plant and have converted it into a fully cooked processing plant, and how we've made that flow work, how we've had to move walls, put in new rooms, working with the existing facility. So people will see how we've made that food safety flow through our plant until we could get the new addition online. So I think it'll be a good tour, but it's not what I was hoping it would be, but it's still going to be a great time.
Great. Well, that sounds great. And I'm sure everybody on the tour is well aware that construction never actually ends when it says it's going to end. So,
Yeah.
But I'm sure it'll be a great time. Thank you folks so much for your time to talk this morning. And it looks like you've got a lot to get back to, so I'll leave you to it. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Sam.